Hey guys, it's Matthew with Primordial Healing here. Yeah, I guess I don't need all that plug, that's weird. I just wanted to share about my most recent journey, my most recent trip. And just got done on Monday driving 9 hours to go collect lava rocks. 2 days later on a Wednesday, I drive 9 hours back home. Now, I'm at home and my weekend plans get canceled. And I'm realizing, if this whole month of August for me is about autonomy and finding my own validation within, making decisions without any counsel, doing something without sharing it immediately as it's happening to a friend or to the public for validation. And I was thinking, you know what, sometime coming up, I want to go to like a concert, maybe like a music festival. I want to find something to go to all by myself. I'm not going to tell anyone, and I'll just share about it afterwards. And I start looking some things up that Thursday after sleeping a couple hours. And in the Taos Mountains in New Mexico, there's a wellness festival going on. And, I've never done yoga. Maybe like 11 years ago, I did freaking P90X yoga's thing once. I'm like, holy cow, that is really hard. But I didn't understand the concept of it at all in any spiritual aspect. And I look at the list of the event schedule, and there's right off the bat, cacao ceremony, and followed with one instructor, followed by kundalini yoga by Gurmukh, I think that's how you say her name. 57 years in the practice, lived all over the world, spends a lot of time in India. Sound bath, and the next morning more yoga, and then a class on the see if I can say this, Ayurvedic system with vata and pitta, and what we eat, our environment, the seasons, and how it all balances everything out so that we can live a healthy life. Then there was a writing class, so all these things. And I'm like, you know what? And the amount of money I was going to spend on my plans this weekend, it was about the same cost. Now, I didn't have a lot of money for anything else. I had money for gas, and I bought some groceries before I left, some dry food, fruits, vegetables. And I wasn't even home 24 hours. I left at 10:30 that night. And be real honest, I should not have been driving. I had like 5 energy drinks to drive 9 hours to get to New Mexico. And I'm glad that I left in the middle of the night rather than wait until the morning, because even though the first event wasn't until the evening, it took like a couple hours to get situated, find a campground, which I was right there on the base or at the top of the mountain. All their campgrounds are free. That's awesome. Yeah, man. And see, there was like this stream that was going down the mountain, real close to the campground. And, I, hey, judge all you want. I don't care. I went primitive both mornings. And I'm back home right now in my state, and it's like freaking 100 degrees. And there, the highs were 60 and the lows were in the 40s, which I did not account for because I brought all tank tops and shorts. But in the morning, I would walk up the mountain a ways to where no one could see me. I kept my shorts on, but I would bring some soap, and I'd go in that creek, and that coming right down the mountain, absolutely freezing. My feet were numb, but boy, did it wake me up. It was so refreshing. It was, man, in those waters on the mountain, just the energy of that mountain. It was such a great time. Yeah, that first night I was freezing. I woke up freezing, and you know, I'm on a tight budget. Otherwise I would have just went and bought a hoodie for $40, but I went down to one of the hotels there at the ski resort, and I was just honest. I'm like, hey, I mean, I'll go get a hoodie, but I thought I would check here. I wasn't prepared. Do you have anything in the lost and found? And she was able to get me this nice wool sweatshirt and long johns, and an extra blanket. So the next night was very comfortable. I tell you what, this is my first time doing yoga basically, and to jump right in with this master, with this kundalini yoga, like literally freaking, I can't even like do the move. Oh, we're here, right? And we're like going up, coming down, hitting here. Got our eyes closed, rolled back into our head. And this is after doing a whole bunch of different sequences and things. And we're like, we go 26 times. This lady's like 80, mid 80s. I don't know. But you know, she does this stuff every day, has been doing it her whole life. And the thing is, not only was that a motivating factor, because like you'd want to stop, but you're like, she'd just be on that microphone, like going after the whole room. But she would be like explaining how every movement, everything we were doing, what vitality, what life force, and gosh, it was just so motivating. But she was a little trickster, I tell you what, because she'd be like, okay, do 26, boom, okay, 26 more, boom, okay, 26 more, oh gosh, boom, okay, last 26, boom, okay, wait, no, more 20, then we get into some other movement, like one of them was straight knees, you know, like this down dog position, which I'm new, right? But we're moving like this. Can't bend our knees all around the room for 5 minutes. That's a lie. It was more like 9 minutes, because like she'd be like, okay, 2 minutes left. And we all got a pretty good internal clock, you know, plus or minus a few seconds. And you know, it just hit like 2 minute range. She'd be like, okay, 90 seconds left. You're like, oh my gosh. And I know she was doing that on purpose, because like, it was almost like she was teaching us about life and like to let go of expectations, right? And, you know, you get 60 seconds left, and you know you did the whole 60 seconds. It's like 45 seconds left. It reminded me of boot camp. I mean, they would do that stuff all the time. Mess with time in your head so that you're not focused on control. I tell you what, it was the breath work I did with this lady Rue. I gotta just throw this in there. That was the very last thing I did before I left. And I've been doing breath work for like 3 months now, but it's all been online and solo with one practitioner. So to be in a room and be with a practitioner that, before I could even mention it, encouraged us to release whatever noises, whatever they sound like, to come out for movement, kinetic. It was so much confirmation that I needed with wanting to go forward with getting my breathwork certificate and help in group settings with breathwork, because I had a great talk with Morningstar on the way back from Colorado, and it dawned on me that my concept for the modality that I wanted to bring in for the healing center was limited. Because I was like, well, if somebody came to me and they were on drugs, like I couldn't work with them, or if they didn't have the emotional intelligence, we do like a pre-interview and see if they're fit. And she called me out on it and questioned me, but she didn't push. And I've thought about it a lot, and I've realized I'm going to have a whole bag full of modalities, and breath work is probably going to be the first one I can take because I could work with anyone. And then we did some other trauma tension release stuff through leg shaking, where it was founded by a guy that was embedded in a war zone, and he was watching how some of the natural reactions were to shake. No different than like Peter Levine talks about in The Wakened Tiger. We've all seen it probably like on National Geographic or Discovery Channel, like antelope out in the wild being chased by a lion, gets away, and then it's finally away, right? And it doesn't keep trauma, which is just unprocessed energy from an event, right? It didn't get fully processed through the system, the body. It'd be like you got T-boned by a blue truck, and you didn't process all that energy. Then moving forward, every single time like a blue truck got close to you, physically, all the same chemicals that got released from that event energetically would come back, and you would go back into that moment, right? If that makes sense. But anyway, what's different for non-domesticated animals out in the wild, nature, is when that antelope's away from the lion, you'll see it, like it'll start like shaking its legs out. You'll see the muscles twitching, right? And it's getting the energy to go through. And what's so amazing about that is we don't have to identify what the samskara was, what the trauma was, whether trauma, stress, whatever. Whether it was one event or just events throughout, micro events, even from just the week, right? And when you do this work, it starts to, you just let go of control in your mind, and you do this exercise, and then once you go back to relax in and have your legs in a certain position, you start shaking and letting it all out. So that's very powerful. The riding was amazing. I went up to the top of the mountain, did my own DMT breath work, received some, I feel like the mountain was communicating, and received some powerful messages from nature when you're in tune with it. Probably the most life-changing thing was there were these two people there that were working the sound, right? Like they were in charge of the PA for all the different events and different instructors. And it's funny because his name is the same exact name as my employees. And at the end of an evening, instead of going to my tent, I go the other way towards the base of the mountain, look up at the mountain, the moons, and I'm gonna just head back to my tent. And there's a restaurant, and I got enough money to treat myself at least once to a burger or something. And I go in there, and there these two, this guy and girl are. And turns out after talking, her birthday is the same birthday as mine, which is really trippy because my ex-wife and I had the same birthday, got married on that day, and it's just, sounds silly. It's refreshing to bring new energy to like a date, like the actual date of my birthday. Anyway, that's not the important part. So I'm certified from the Center for Healing in a modality that changed my life, that helped me get off of meth addiction, coming up on 7 years. And in a 1-hour session, you know, we didn't talk about drugs or addiction or anything. We focused on a specific limiting belief that was playing out over and over in my life, and self-sabotage in my life. And it was the belief that I am alone. And went back to some original scene and released all that energy from that moment, and haven't been the same since. And it's funny because I haven't had my paperwork to like do a session with somebody as a practitioner, except for this week. I brought it when I went on my trip to Colorado, thinking I was going to do a session on Sue Morningstar, and it just so happened to be in my truck. And I'm having dinner with these people, and we're talking, and somehow I'm guided to, because he's inquiring and I'm sharing this very information with him, and he's like, man, I'm really interested in that. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, maybe on Zoom or something. We've got this schedule tomorrow and I want to do all these events. And as I left the restaurant, I mean, I was very clearly told, like, no, you're going to go work with him. And so I reached out and let him know before I went to bed, and he was grateful. And the next day, after some classes, we met up and we did the first half, which was still very, very powerful in and of itself. There's a lot of inquiry and checking in with the person that you're working with. And then there is like muscle testing, kinesiology to find subconscious beliefs. And we went through that, and he had enough just from that healing. And when we tried to go into the meat of the session, he couldn't get into it. And instead of me getting frustrated or him or projecting anything, it was simply an awareness of like where we're at, how much energy is being expended going through every one of these classes, man. Like, it's a boot camp, because it's like a massage therapy and all that. You know how you can be exhausted after that? Okay, well, take that times like already like 9 or 10 classes that we did, right? So it was like very obvious he was already dealing with a healing hangover, if you will, and still had a lot to integrate. And so we decide to end it, and we'll connect on the internet and finish in a couple weeks here. But that, you know, it's funny because we're all walking each other home, aren't we? And that moment, it profoundly changed the trajectory of my path moving forward. And I know it wasn't like the exact person per se. This is a lesson I've been learning, is that like lessons come through the person, right? And like then all of a sudden I feel like so much gratitude and love for this individual, but I do recognize that it's spirit, life, God, universe is bringing these lessons through these people, right? And just the same exact way that if I have an impact on someone, it's not me, right? It's not anything special or impactful about me. It's God working through me as a vessel, spirit working through me. And you know, that's how you keep ego in check. That'll bring you down fast. Anyway, I don't mean to derail. But what was the lesson was in him walking me home, because he was so grateful and full of tears and stuff. And then after he left, I had to catch up with him like just 30 seconds after he left. And I was in tears, and I gave him a fist pump on the chest. I'm like, dude, you don't have any idea the impact that this is having on me. Because in my small little town of 5,000 people, my mind was getting so fixated on that little tiny world in this massive, not only physical world, but timeline world, emotional world, everyone I'm going to meet, just my life purpose, that whole world, right? And it made me realize, like, he was the first of many to come that have no fucking clue about who I was, any of that stuff from the past. They just experience the energetic form that I am, the energy that I'm carrying now, the me, the full me that I have given myself permission to be. And that was massive for me. And if that lesson, if there's a lesson in this for you, I really hope it resonates. Because like, even right now, right? As I'm telling this video, my mind is focused on, like, as if I'm talking to him and all the hims and hers that will be, not like I'm talking to people from that small little world and trying to validate or anything. Instead, it's just, let me be authentic for the beautiful souls like I met on this journey. And just the whole time, like, it was so nice to be around everyone and to be in such a safe container, to be fully authentically myself. And I'm just grateful. After I left, I went down the mountain to the Kundalini teacher's studio and finished up there. And she invited me to India. And she's like, you're a fast learner. You should come to India with us on October 8th and come to our teacher training school and become a Kundalini yoga instructor. I'm like, thank you so much for the offer. But my highest calling, my highest purpose is my stewardship to fatherhood. And I will always stay grounded no matter where the wind blows me, like to New Mexico out of nowhere. My anchor is my stewardship to these 6 wonderful, beautiful children that I've been gifted the stewardship to raise. And there's going to be so much opportunity for world travel. Like, it's coming, and it's probably coming sooner than I think. And it'll just be more planned out, not just, taken off for, I don't even know how long that training would be in India. Months, 6 months, a year, I don't know. It sounds awesome. Trust me, I thought about it. I did, but I had to ground myself. But I did tell her as I left, I said, don't be surprised if in a year or two, I'm one of the instructors working with breath work. And she said, I won't be.